ticket. Hello everybody and welcome to our Mythic Terros kill. Now I'm going to be trying to give you all a little rundown of what's going on. So here we have our first initial soak. When this soak is happening, we make sure that we get all of ourselves ready for that tank line that's going to be happening. So we put those stalactites there in a line for them, and then we end up starting into the fight. So the melee here is going to be ending up getting a slam. And once that slam happens, we're going to be getting stalagmites dropping from the ceiling, causing these pools on the ground. And then dust is quickly formed where we're going to be getting a dot. So we all try to stack rid of that. The tanks are going to be right now starting with the process of taunting back and forth, either their tank lines or also their debuffs that are happening. So they're talking back and forth in the background, which is fantastic for them. So as that's going through, now, the coolest thing about this whole situation is I'm going to kind of make sure everyone understands the slams are happening. We get approximately, I think it's 2 slams, and we're getting 2 soaks per rotation here. We get our second set of soaks. We have our tank line, which is our big tank line, which is off to the side. As you can see, we all stack together for our first set of Annihilate. The Annihilate is going to take up 25% of the room, so we end up doing that. We stack together, so we maximize our space. We all get into our next Annihilate position. Everybody stacks together. We stack together. We take dust. We all drop the dust. We all move to the right. We instantly have a soak. Once that soak happens, the tank line is formed to the right with the stalactites and then tank line is then destroyed. When that happens, we end up getting a debuff. So once that debuff happens, we get a lot of damage placed on the group. Usually healers end up using cooldown. So we end up going through the process. And then here's our stalagmites, and then our dust, and then our fake tank line, and then our soak. So we go right into the process again. So as you can see, the fight is a very repetitive fight as we're going through it, but the most important part about this is to maintain focus throughout the whole entire fight. The fight, I would say, is the most important part, is maintaining your focus, because you can stand a lot of stuff. You can end up taking a lot of damage if you're not in the right placement for your dust. You can end up causing a lot of pools of stuff on the ground based on how much you're, where you're standing. So make sure the range is standing in a proper position and proper place for that. So everything here is kind of just going through the process beautifully and nicely, ending up having this second Annihilate go off. And remember, everybody, if you're enjoying these videos, please make sure you hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, or you end up going to our Twitch page and end up hitting us follow there. And if you're looking to support the stream or supporting our content here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on Twitch. And stop by every single Monday through Friday when we end up our gaming, and our raids are usually on Tuesdays and Wednesday nights, and sometimes on Sundays if we have the ability to do so. So as we see here, we just had another tank line, and we're going through the process of another pie slice. Now we get our melee slam comes, the rotation over happens, dust falls. I should say the stalagmites fall. Dust forms. Everybody tries to wipe as much dust off as possible, and then we're going to continue on through the whole next soak process. Now we get ready for our next soak. The soak is actually on myself. I end up putting myself in a place for everybody to get a tank line, and then we end up getting that smashed off. And as you can see, we have a large stack on the group, and that is, pretty hard for us to heal through, but the healers do a fantastic job in mitigating a lot of that damage. On top of that, everybody else in the, in the DPS and the melee, everybody is using cooldowns on a continuous basis. And while we're doing that on a continuous basis, we are making sure that our cooldowns are used, our healing pots are being used, everything we can use. Might I remind you, throughout this whole entire process, here's Annihilate 3. We go into our fourth little area. We learned that, this is really a DPS race. with addition to a focus race. So make sure that your people in your guild or your people in your party are high enough level and are doing solid enough DPS to be able to push through. As you can see there's another darkness being placed. It took us a little over 40, I think between 40 and 45 pulls. No, I'm sorry, 30 to 35 pulls to be able to take this guy down. But once we kind of had the time to play around and work with him, we were actually had a very smooth and easy time with it, which I really did enjoy. And I kind of had this enjoyment of this boss, even though he was very difficult. And for me, it was my first real time pushing a boss being a DPS class that requires a DPS check. So I liked it. Now we were ending up taking out the that soak. The tank line's coming. Now this is a really heavy tank line. So we're gonna have our next slam coming in here. Now, as you can see, we're gonna be coming up to an annihilate very, very shortly. Here is our tank line, which we're taking out our last two, which we did to kind of make sure we end up cleaning up everything we had. Everyone was popping cooldowns. So now there's an annihilate 4. We have no more space left, so we end up going back into the pools on the ground. So we end up taking a little bit of damage, but we have enough time to DPS that last 3%, and we just slam and destroy the heck out of them, and we end up killing them. Congrats, guys. I'm so proud of everybody. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Good. That was actually really entertaining. Holy fuck.